we have to call in the armed forces. What we're seeing now is chaos and chaotic criminality across the whole of London. It's not confined to one place, as it when we've had riots in the past. For example, in Brixton in the 1980s. This is now spreading across the whole of London. Even my area in Ilford is rumoured to be targeted tonight. I've told my assistants to leave the office early, and people are battening down the hatches. Now, what we should do, in my view, is pull our troops back from these pointless wars in Afghanistan, in Iraq, where we should never have been in the first place. Their only function, as far as I can see, is to help make Tony Blair a multi-millionaire in the USA. Let's get our troops back into this country and actually put them on the streets supporting the police in order to crush this, this criminal insurrection, because it's nothing better than that. What I've heard on some of your previous interviews is a lot of the usual wet special pleading about these, you know, these poor disadvantaged people don't have jobs. There's jobs there if they wanted to do them. Most jobs now are filled by, in pubs, in shops, in everywhere you go, they're filled by Eastern Europeans who are highly educated, who actually speak the language, and they're getting the jobs, and our own people are not getting them very often because they're not interested in education. They don't really want to work, and it doesn't surprise me now that we're seeing these people on the streets looting. This is a kind of criminal shopping spree that they're going on because of the lax approach that we've had to actually arresting people and punishing people in this country for years. It's almost impossible to get arrested for something. If you're arrested, it's very difficult to actually get convicted, and if you're convicted, it's almost impossible to get a meaningful sentence. These people have nothing but contempt for the law, and you can see it in their faces. They're not even bothering to cover their faces up. They don't think anything's going to happen to them. There is a mechanism which we could use to deal with this, if you'd like me to elaborate on that.
Well, I actually want to go back and talk about you saying that the armed forces need to be brought in. We're hearing that a senior London police officer says that it is possible that authorities will use plastic bullets to quell rioters. Why haven't water cannons, rubber bullets, tear gas, or even the armed forces been brought in yet?
I think because the police force over the years have been debilitated by this culture of political correctness, where if people are out on the streets doing this, oh, they must have some reason, the poor little dears, and you mustn't be nasty to them. And I think the police are kind of been hidebound by this for years, and I think this is what we're seeing it now. You can see images of the police now where they're under siege on the streets by these people. You've got women jumping from burning buildings to save their lives. People are I'm surprised that nobody's actually been burnt to death yet, and I think the time has come to get tough with this. We must crush this, otherwise it's going to get totally out of hand, and it will be a constantly reoccurring thing if we don't. They'll put the shops back together, you know, they'll restock them, and then the criminals will come out again if we don't actually make it plain to these people that this will not be tolerated and it will be crushed.
The first victim of the riots, a 26-year-old man, has died in hospital. Do you think that is just the beginning? Are we going to see more deaths?
Well, from what we've seen on the TV screens, with bricks being thrown at the police, with buildings on fire, I'm only surprised that there haven't been more fatal injuries so far, because there's nothing restraining these people. They have no respect for property or human life. What do they care? You know, if they wouldn't be burning buildings down wholesale if they actually cared whenever anybody was in them or not. How do they know where people are in? We've seen people who've lived above these shops in flats who've had to flee the buildings, evacuating in an emergency. I'm sure that wasn't done in an orderly fashion. These people are torching the buildings and they don't care who's in them.
All right, Gerard Batten, member of the European Parliament, on the line with us live from London. Thank you very much for your time. On our website, RT.com, we've been asking, what's the driving force behind the riots? So far, the majority think it's the result of heavy-handed policing. Others blame it on the struggling economy and the failure of multiculturalism in Europe. And the rest believe it's criminals trying to grab anything they can. Join the discussion. Drop us a line at RT.com.